You know the ritual? You wake up feeling, well, like an absolute zombie. You pour yourself a cup of hot, dark liquid, and suddenly you are human again. I mean, it feels like magic.
Yeah, it really feels like you are literally pouring liquid energy directly into your body.
Right. But our mission for this deep dive today is looking at the source material behind that illusion. We're unpacking a pretty dense clinical and neurobiological assessment of caffeine dependency, and let me tell you, that morning magic trick is an incredibly complex physiological heist.
Oh, absolutely. And, you are definitely not alone in falling for it. I mean, 85 to 90% of adults consume caffeine every single day.
Wow, like that is a massive number.
It is. It is actually the most widely used psychoactive substance in human history, totally eclipsing every other stimulant or, well, sedative out there.
Okay, let's unpack this. Does caffeine actually give us energy? Because reading through these clinical assessments, the answer seems to be a resounding no.
Yeah, not a single drop, actually.
Huh.
What it really does is run interference in your brain. So as you burn energy throughout the day, a chemical called adenosine slowly builds up.
And that is the sleep pressure, right?
Exactly. Think of it as sleep pressure. It locks into specific receptors, primarily the A1 and A2A receptors, to signal your brain that energy stores are depleted and, well, it is time to rest.
Ah, I see.
But caffeine just happens to have the exact right shape to sneak in and competitively block those receptors.
So it is basically like putting a piece of black tape over the check engine tired light on your car's dashboard.
Yeah.
You aren't actually putting any fuel in the tank.
Right. Yeah.
You are just like temporarily blinding yourself to the fact that you are running on empty.
That is a perfect way to put it. The physiological fatigue is completely untouched. You just can't feel it anymore. But your brain isn't static, It notices that those sleep signals are being blocked.
Right. It adapts.
What's fascinating here is the brain responds by upregulating. It physically builds more adenosine receptors to try and restore its natural balance.
Oh, wow.
Meanwhile, you are still awake, still burning energy, and that adenosine you have been ignoring continues to pile up in the background.
So it feels less like water behind a dam and maybe more like you are holding a door shut against a growing crowd of angry people.
Exactly. And eventually that caffeine wears off, the door swings open, and all that backlogged adenosine floods those newly built high-density receptors all at once.
And boom, there is the crash.
Yeah, that massive flood is the architecture of the infamous caffeine crash. It completely reframes why habitual drinkers consume this stuff.
They're actually getting a boost above their normal baseline anymore, are they?
No, not at all. You're just drinking it to stave off that massive crowd, avoiding functional deficits just to feel normal.
If we all share this exact same crash and burn neurobiology, here's where it gets really interesting. Why does my crash look so different than yours? Like, I can drink an espresso after dinner and sleep fine, but if my friend has green tea at noon, they are staring at the ceiling until 3 in the morning.
Well, it comes down to the genetic lottery. Specifically, you have one gene, CYP1A2, that dictates how fast your liver metabolizes the chemical.
Okay, that makes sense.
And another one, ADORA-A2A, that controls how sensitive your brain's receptors are to it. Individuals with a high genetic sensitivity to caffeine actually have a built-in defense mechanism against addiction.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Because of the sensitivity?
Yeah, for them, even a tiny amount triggers intense anxiety and jitters.
That is wild. Your brain essentially makes the experience so unpleasant that you can't tolerate heavy use.
Exactly. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, this huge genetic variance is the missing puzzle piece that explains why historical health data on coffee has been so confusing and, well, full of paradoxes.
Like with heart conditions.
Yes. For years, patients with atrial fibrillation were told to avoid caffeine entirely. But the 2025 decaf trial revealed a massive paradox. They found that moderate coffee consumption actually lowered AFib recurrence by 39%.
39%. That is huge.
It is. Because earlier data didn't account for the genetic variance in how different bodies metabolize and react to caffeine, the historical blanket advice to avoid it was deeply flawed.
Wow. So what does this all mean for you? If you are listening to this, realizing you might be heavily dependent, the instinct might be to just dump your coffee down the sink tomorrow. But reading this clinical standard, that sounds like a terrible idea.
Oh, please do not quit cold turkey. Beyond blocking sleep signals, caffeine physically restricts the blood vessels in your brain. If you pull the plug suddenly, those vessels rapidly expand.
Ouch, that sounds painful.
It is. That massive rush of blood and pressure is why 50% of people who abruptly quit get severe rebound headaches.
Plus, you have to watch out for the hidden sources, right? I mean, even decaf coffee can still have up to 15 milligrams of caffeine.
Right, yeah.
It is in medications, it is in chocolate. You might be constantly resetting your withdrawal without even realizing it.
Exactly. The clinical gold standard is a gradual 25% weekly reduction. You really have to give your brain the time it needs to slowly dismantle all those extra receptors it built.
You have to peel the tape off the dashboard slowly, basically.
Yeah, right.
It leaves you with a pretty wild thought to chew on. If 90% of adults are consuming a neuro-altering chemical every single day just to reach their baseline, I mean, is society's definition of normal consciousness actually just a globally synchronized state of mild drug dependency?